Designers are all about feelings, right? Empathy, user pain, sunshine, rainbows, but let's face it, business leaders care about one thing.
It's money, money, money by the pound.
So how do you bridge the gap between your users' tears and the executive's bank account? Let's talk about turning empathy into cold, hard cash. Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name's Brandon. I have over 20 years in the experience design trenches, and on this channel, I share solutions to everyday UX problems based on my experience, without the fluff. Most designers live for that warm, fuzzy feeling, making users happy by creating delight. Here's the thing. No business stakeholder has ever stayed up at night worrying about delight. What they care about is making sure their $1 million investment actually pays off. So how do you take your brilliant idea and make them care? Well, you're not going to do it with wireframes. It's going to take numbers. It's going to take math. And yes, I know we all hate math, but stick with me because it'll be worth it in the end. Today, I'm breaking down how to make your case with data, business-savvy language, and a formula to turn your designs into revenue-driving machines. Let's dive in. Let's face it, designers tend to be the touchy-feely type. They live and breathe empathy, pouring their energy into connecting with users and feeling their pain. Here's the thing, while we're busy championing the user's feelings, we often overlook another kind of pain, the pain of business stakeholders. They're the ones staring at numbers, trying to justify spending $1 million to redo a feature that, honestly, most users didn't even engage with. If we only focus on selling the dream of happy users skipping through a magical field of UX flowers, we're missing the mark. Businesses don't care about the dancing leprechaun at the end of the rainbow unless that leprechaun comes with a pot of gold. Don't fall for the empathy trap, because I've yet to see an executive tear up over a design pitch. If you want to make real impact, you need to speak the language of business. Cold, hard data and dollar signs. Imagine this. You go to a product manager and say, "This page is awful, we need to redo it." What do you think will happen? 9 times out of 10, they'll pat you on the head and maybe even say, "Bless your heart," which, as we all know, is Southern for a wide variety of responses, but generally doesn't mean that's a great idea. Let's do it. Here's the reality. Businesses don't act on vague claims. You have to bring evidence, a solid business case, and ideally, a hypothesis that shows how your solution will make them rich, or at least save them money. As a friend of mine always says, you've got to lawyer up. Not with actual lawyers, though if that's happening, you've got other problems. How do you lawyer up, you ask? You gather evidence, real, actionable numbers. For example, how many support calls does this issue generate? What feedback are customer service teams hearing about this page or flow? Do usage analytics show a sharp drop in engagement at a specific point? If it's an e-commerce flow, are customers dropping out of the conversion funnel at a particular step? If you don't have these numbers, someone in your company does, or at least they should. Start with support teams. They deal with this pain firsthand and are usually thrilled when someone wants to help fix it. If you have a business intelligence team, they should definitely have some numbers. Product management should also be tracking some of the type of data that you can leverage. Figure out what data you need and just start making the rounds. Data is just the first step. To really get attention, you have to turn that data into dollar signs. And yes, this involves math.
Get it away!
But don't run away just yet. It's not as scary as it sounds. Here's a simple way to start. Step 1. Find out how much time this problem eats up. For example, do support reps spend an average of 5 minutes per call dealing with it? Step 2. Estimate how many calls are dealing with this issue and how often. Step 3. Multiply that time by the rep's hourly rate, and boom, you've got a cost estimate. Even a rough calculation like this can paint a compelling picture. And remember, time is a universal currency. If you can show that fixing this problem saves hours or days, especially at scale, you're giving execs that much more info needed to convert an idea into dollar signs. Data alone won't close the deal. You've got to sell the solution. This is where your sales skills come in, and yes, UX pros are also salespeople. When less experienced UXers ask me what the most important skill in the field is, my answer is often the ability to sell. Just saying something like, "it's common sense," won't get you anywhere, except maybe in the doghouse. You have to frame your argument in terms of business impact. How does solving this problem save money or time? How does it reduce risk? And my personal favorite, how does it make someone look good in the boardroom? Also, think about the time frame. A $10,000 problem might not sound urgent, but stretch that over a year and suddenly you're talking about a $120,000 issue. Context matters. Okay, let's bring this all together with an example. Say you've identified a clunky part of your checkout flow. You've got data showing a 40% cart abandonment rate at step 3. Support reps report that this step generates frequent complaints and usage analytics confirm a major drop-off. Now, let's take this problem and turn it into dollars. Assume the average abandoned cart is worth $50. Multiply that by the number of carts abandoned daily, let's say 1,000. That's $50,000 in lost revenue per day. If you frame this issue as costing the company $18 million annually, that's a headline no executive can ignore. Add in the time wasted by support teams and the potential for negative customer reviews, and suddenly, fixing the checkout flow looks like a no-brainer. I know, that was an easy example where we clearly had all the data readily available. So why the 40% abandonment rate hadn't been fixed already? Who knows? Trees blocking the forest, that kind of thing. It does happen. Let's take a look at a more complex example, one where you don't have all the data available, so you'll have to do some sleuthing to create your pitch. Some of you might experience some flashback-related PTSD from your days in high school math, but it's a necessary evil, so power through it. The first piece of information we have is the problem. I'll cut you some slack and keep the problem generic. If it helps, it's a page, a flow, whatever your dark heart desires that is a negative aspect of what our users experience in our app. Some people are always so negative. The second step is gathering your data. Let's pretend it's like real life, and the only people that have any data is customer support from their call tracking logs. They tell you that each of their 10 phone reps has 5 calls per day where they deal with this issue, and those calls average around 5 minutes each. Stick with me, we're not going to do anything crazy like bring letters into our math. I'm pretty sure that was a cruel joke created by mathematicians, because just when people were starting to figure out how math worked, they were like, nope, can't have that. Throw the alphabet in there and they'll never figure it out. Anyway, so if we do some simple math, our phone reps spend about 250 minutes per day dealing with this issue. All right, this is where you need to think outside the box. Right now, we're only dealing in minutes, but how do we bring a dollar sign in here? How do we convert minutes to dollars? Well, I'm guessing you don't have access to your rep's pay info, but a quick web search can yield the average salary of a customer support rep in your area. We'll just say our search returned the average salary of $75,000 per year. Cool. Now we need that in minutes instead of years, because you always need to be working in the same units. It's just a math thing. Another quick Google search tells us that there are 525,600 minutes in a year. Now, if we divide the 75,000 by 525,600, which gives us 0.14269, blah, 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 blah. We'll just make it an even 14 cents per minute to try and stick with whole numbers. Things are looking good so far. We have the number of minutes reps spend dealing with this problem in a given day, 250, and how much they make per minute, 14 cents. Multiply those two together, now you know the business is spending 35,000. Can't do math. Multiply those two together, and now you know the business is spending $35 per day dealing with this problem. Extend that out over 30 days, and you've got a little over $1,000. Well, it's not a big number, but let's roll with it for the sake of our demo. The only other missing component for any good business equation is the cost of fixing the problem. How many people will it take, and how long to fix the problem? Ideally, you want there to be a savings here, because that's money the company gets to keep, which makes people look good, and so you need the cost of the issue to ultimately be less than the cost to fix it. You haven't quit watching yet, right?
Did it work? Anyone? Anyone know the effects?
I can see some of you have that glazed look over your eyes.
Right. On the revenue curve.
We're almost done, I promise. So go grab some coffee or an energy drink and let's wrap this thing up in a nice pretty little bow. Let's talk about the cost of the fix. You might have to do some more digging and estimating if the engineering folks don't know the average cost of a Scrum team. Let's say it will take a Scrum team 30 days to fix the problem. and the daily operating cost of the Scrum team is about $200 a day. That means it'll cost around $6,000 to fix this problem. But your problem is only costing the company a little over $1,000 every 30 days. It would take at least 6 months before the company would see any savings. And then it's only about $6,000 in the first year and only about $12,000 for the whole year. Honestly, that's probably not going to be enough to sell the business on fixing the problem unless that $12,000 would really make a noticeable difference in the bottom line.
She's like a little pinky thorn nothing. Itty bitty, little nothing of my money, Frank.
It sucks, but it's just the facts of life. Let's revisit our original data. Let's say instead of 5 minutes per call, the issue takes up to 20 minutes per call. Now that means our reps are collectively spending 1,000 minutes per day dealing with this problem. This also means that instead of costing the company only $35 per day, it's costing the company $140 per day, or about $4,200 every month. Now, if we have the Scrum team fix the problem, it will be less than 2 months before the company begins to see a return on their investment. In the first year, fixing the problem will save the company around $44,000. Will that be enough to dethrone other work on the roadmap? Who knows? But at the very least, it may open up other opportunities for your work because now the business knows you get it. Speaking the language of business isn't just about tossing around ROI buzzwords. It's about connecting your UX work to what the business values, saving time, reducing costs, and driving revenue. It's about creating meaningful impact for both users and the business. Remember, data is your secret weapon. The next time you pitch an idea, do your homework. Gather the data, frame it as a business case, and show the stakeholders how your solution not only solves user pain points, but drives real results for the company. When you speak the language of business, your designs don't just make users happy, they make the business successful. And that's when everyone wins. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Feel free to check out my other videos for more UX advice without the fluff. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.